regulation. I've got there somewhere. The other thing I want to say is it's totally coincidental that the slides match my top or vice versa. I'm not clever enough for that, so here goes. I'm not 100% sure why I'm here, apart from I did do a presentation to a lot of Psych2 supervised 4+2 sites, and I did that when I was at APRA, and this sort of rolled out of that a little bit, and I believe we did a presentation on CPD which they wanted to see, so I'm sort of just going to talk a little bit about probably the Psych Board and APRA, just to give you a bit of background about how this all evolved, because as we're talking about change here. Okay, so what's changed is now there is a single national registration and accreditation system for 10 health professions. There are going to be others added to this as time goes on actually, but at the moment there are 10 health professions. The Health Practitioner Regulation National Law Act governs that regulation, and the Australian Health Workforce Ministerial Council approves the standards and other matters, which is a bit odd for a lot of us well, I'd say all of us in Australia, because none of us are health workers, but we all fall under this legislation, and I mean some of us are a bit resistant to being called health practitioners, but that's what we're considered for this. Now the Health Workforce Ministerial Council is the ones who makes all the rules basically, so that's who the Psych Board answer to. There's a national board for each profession. One of the things is the Psychologist Board is now asking to be called the PBA because there's also a pharmacy board and a physiotherapy board, so they're trying to distinguish themselves. Did you know that? Yeah. And so it's not PBA anymore, it's the PBA. So APRA actually supports the board, so it's the administration centre and for all the boards. So they all fall under APRA as far as administration goes for those boards. And each capital city has an office of APRA, and there's a head office in Melbourne. Now the reasons for the change, and I've quoted this from a presentation that Alfred Allen gave. He's our local member on the national board quite a while ago. There were a few things that had happened, and they thought there needs to be a change in how health professions are regulated. One of them was, and I'm not sure what the disaster was in Queensland or New South Wales, where psychologists couldn't go across, or health professionals couldn't go across the border to work in the next state to help out. So that was one of the driving forces, and that actually happened even with the Queensland floods, because a lot of the Queensland sites hadn't managed to get registered and weren't able to work with people, so it didn't work. Don't recall that. The other one also coming out of Queensland, which is a bit interesting, Dr. Pt2 and the case with the manslaughter charges that he faced there, and not being able to sort of evaluate people's qualifications, I guess. And that's part of the big regulation part of what the board is actually dealing with. Workforce issues, they're trying to control workforce better and try to make it more flexible. Cost efficiency was another reason, and possibly a hidden agenda, which is political. Sorry?
Do you believe in cost efficiency?
No, it's very expensive actually to operate because there's not a lot of staff. And actually I'll talk about some of the stats that I've got down on the website of just how much paperwork and that they've been dealing with. So if you look at what the Act says, these are the common things that are in there. It's for the protection of the public. It's to facilitate workforce mobility, which would mean that we can work across borders, which may be useful for people working in the land, I guess. There may be areas where that would be more useful. I certainly know I've actually done reports in Victoria and I didn't realise I shouldn't have been doing that. To facilitate provision of education, I'm not quite sure how. Assessment of overseas training, that was the big thing after the Dr. Patel case about assessing qualifications, which they still haven't really nutted out very well, so that's sort of a bit of a grey area at the moment. To facilitate access to services and to develop the workforce, basically. Australia is the first country to actually introduce a national registration scheme, and it involved transferring functions of 85 separate health practitioner boards to 10 national boards, shifting more than 65 different pieces of legislation to one. and the integration of 8 separate state and territory regulatory systems into one national scheme. So you can imagine why there's been difficulties, and every state wants to still keep their own way. And as we know, WA always wants to secede from the rest of the country anyway, so, and I think we're still going along that path. There are actually 525,000 health practitioners from 10 professions registered under the Act. So you probably get some idea of the volume of workload that's happening. More than 344,000 health practitioners have renewed registration, and our first renewal will be coming up in June, which will be a short-term renewal till November. So make sure you monitor that yourself, because they did have problems in the other states with some of those renewals. So make sure you are actually renewed, because you won't be able to practice. There's about 3,000 notifications being managed at the moment under these acts, with this Act. So APRA is responsible for the implementation of the scheme. Operations are governed by the Health Practitioner Regulation Law Act 2009, which came into effect in WA on the 18th of October 2010. For the first time in Australia, 10 professions regulated by a nationally consistent legislation. APRA supports the 10 boards. The primary role is to protect the public and set the standards that all registered health practitioners must meet. And the Agency Management Committee, which sits above APRA, oversees APRA's work. So there's a lot of bureaucracy. We've already said that. We have officers in each state and territory, manage investigations into professional conduct, performance of health professional practitioners, publishes national registers, which I think we're all not really quite happy with at the moment either, with what's on our register, but I think it's going to take time for a lot of these things settle. Helps the board in development of registration standards, provides advice to Ministerial Council about the administration. So this is sort of the flow chart, I suppose, but the Ministerial Council sits at the top there above everything. Australian Health Workforce Advisory Council feeds into that Ministerial Council, and then down this side you've got the boards. That's not 10 psychology boards, it's actually 10 different professions. APAC feeds into the psychology board as far as accreditation of university courses, and then you have the regional committees and the regional boards. And over this side you have your APRA bureaucracy, basically. I've pulled it from Julie. I'll give credit where it's due. But she sent me her slides, and she wasn't going to cover this, and I thought it was such a great slide. I hope you were able to put it in. This is a picture of the National Board. Alfred Allen is, I don't know if people know Alfred Allen, he's at the County University at Joondalup. So he's our rep from WA, and Bryn is the chair of the board. Yes. Is he there? Yes, he is. Radix is South Australian rep on the regional board. Okay, so there are 8 practitioner members, 4 community members. One's a social worker, one's a physiotherapist, one's a nurse, one's a legal background. What's interesting is, if you go on the website, there's nothing about the regional board. So I couldn't actually get all your photos, or even who's on the regional board. So that's something that's a bit of a shortfall. Basically, the functions are to register psychologists and students, develop standards. Students now have to be provisionally registered. That wasn't something that happened in the past. So if you're a student, yeah, they have to be provisionally registered when they're doing their masters. So that's new, and that's caused a lot of problems. Develop standards, codes, guidelines for psychology, handle notifications, complaints. There is a section of APRA that actually handles notifications and complaints, but the board still has to put into all of this. Assessing overseas trained practitioners, which is really, a lot of this is delegated down to either the regional board or to APRA. So this is their mandate, but a lot of it's not actually done by the board.